Mike, I'm surprised we've made it, 8 minutes into this podcast and you haven't lectured us on the fluidity of the 53-man roster. Well, because Professor,
I did believe I said to you guys that things could change even now.
This is the Buffalo Plus Podcast, brought to you by Connors and Ferris.
All right, welcome back to the Buffalo Plus channel, presented by Connors and Ferris. Mike Catalana, Dan Fates. I am Jenna Cottrell. Please be sure to like, comment, subscribe, and share. We're going to get into our Bills' initial 53-man roster, what we think about it. But first, Daniel, we're going to talk about our live show coming up September 4th at the Thirsty Turtle from 5 p.m. to 7 p.m.
Yeah,
well, really, we're going to be there till 8. It's meet and greet time, 5 to 7, Jenna. Yes. It'll be fun. Yes. We cannot wait to see a lot of the people that we know from Buffalo Plus and meet new people. Right, Dan?
Jenna is a phenomenal host, but we have been pushing her to push this show at the beginning of these videos, and she does not like to be interrupted. And that's why she's like, Dan, we're going to talk about the Thirsty Turtle, aren't we?
It's literally
so
it.
Good.
Yeah, it is.
Yeah. We're talking about the Thirsty Turtle. That being said, though, very excited for that. It'll be September 4th, 5 to 7 is the meet and greet. We'll be doing the podcast afterwards. Thirsty Turtle and Victor. It's going to be so much fun. We did an event there last year. It was amazing. The turnout, we are so looking forward to it. So. Yeah. We got that coming up. Be sure to be there. We would love to meet you all. Okay, let's turn the page. It is Tuesday. The Bills coming out with their 53-man roster at 6 p.m. today. At least that's when they announced it. What's your initial takeaway, Mike? A little bit.
For those who don't know, they have to get the announcement into the league by 4:00. The Bills, as my father would say, taking your grand old time getting to wherever it was. It took 2 hours until we got the official list. We knew a lot of them. Jenna, when I look at it, I go right to the cornerbacks, right? Because I think, okay, they made the decision on Max. And we've been at practice all the time. He's not practicing. He's not ready. It makes total sense. He goes on the 4-week IR. Obviously, they can bring him back on the roster. Makes great sense. It's an indication, I think, that Trey White should be okay. We don't know for sure week 1, but it feels like that's the case. We'll be up at practice. And then you start looking, okay, Dane Jackson got released. I think Dane Jackson's going to end up on the practice squad. Agreed. And I know some of you got Dane Jackson. For what you'd have on the practice squad, it's good to have a guy like Dane Jackson who knows the position. But it's going to be, hey, Dorian Strong, be ready. Jamarcus Ingram, be ready if Trey's not. So I went right to that position of where they are, really the whole secondary, but really at the corner spot and what they have in that move to go to IR for Hairston.
Yeah, 2 moves stood out to me. One, obviously, being Hairston going on IR. We don't know where he is in that recovery. Sean has always been vague about injuries and timelines and that kind of stuff. So I like not the fact of having to rush him back and not leaving yourself shorthanded too, with the roster situation, especially at defensive back. You got to get somebody in there that can play now, and it doesn't rush the rookie back any sooner. So give him time, give him the runway as we
I was cracking my back.
As we're all getting kind of limp.
If you just listen to this, Jenna was doing twists.
I'm cracking my back.
She's like, Dan, do you have a take? So Dan, what are your thoughts on the rest of this? It's all right,
she never turned her back totally. She just cracked.
Just trying to get a little stretch in, okay?
Okay,
go on, Dan.
And the other thing, attention class, kids, can we pay attention?
1, 2, 3, all eyes on me.
Just put my daughter to bed now. I was like, 1, 2, are we going upstairs now? Okay.
By the way, is there anything at the end of that countdown?
No,
1, 2, 3, all eyes on me. Oh
no, I linger it out.
Yeah, because you don't want
1,
when you get to
2, 2.5, 2 3/4, 2 7/8.
I'm not going to tell her, but there's no punishment at 3.
There's nothing. I just start the count over. Hey, 1. Besides 2. The Hairston and Trey news, keeping 6 wide receivers. That was a little bit of a surprise to me. The last 2 years, the Bills have only kept 5, so they're keeping 6 this year. The best news, I think, of the entire training camp offseason, Tyrell Shavers making the roster. Very cool moment. You know, that one kind of got leaked earlier, but we were able to confirm it through Buffalo Plus. That was an awesome thing for a guy. You talk about, it's funny, everybody was tweeting that Tyrell Shavers made the Bills roster. And I almost want to be like, Tyrell Shavers earned a spot.
Yeah.
Like, because like more than anything, he didn't make it because of injuries. He didn't make it for anything else than like his play earned it. He went out there, didn't have a job coming in. Like he was not a projected, especially after getting cut last year, like he was not projected to be on it and went out there and took a job and earned a job. That's a really cool moment. A guy that deserves it, that will be asked to do special teams. We saw him out there more in the preseason. They saw at least enough of what they wanted because he's going to be asked to do that when you're keeping 6 guys in that room. He's going to play special teams, but I thought that was the highlight of the roster tonight.
I thought that was so cool. Like to see a guy, I retweeted Mike's story that he did on him, undrafted free agent, spent a couple years on the practice squad. We talked about him last year, training camp darling, then to have the summer that he had this year. And it was like hard work and patience has paid off for Tyrell Shavers. So I think that is definitely one of the bright spots from today because I mean, he's a player that you're right, Dan. The word earned it or the phrase earned it really does come to mind. I was a little disappointed Jimmy Charlo wasn't on the roster. I mean, I shouldn't say it's shocking. Like he obviously hasn't been with the team even all of that long. Definitely seems like depending on waivers and that situation, if he could come back to the Bills practice squad capacity, all of that. But overall, I think what you guys were talking about, the Trey White, that to me was an encouraging sign. Him not being on IR, obviously will be in Buffalo or Orchard Park on Wednesday, and hopefully we'll have more of an update on him. But overall, I think I was a little surprised that Elijah Moore made the roster, or there wasn't anything in terms of Curtis Samuel or Elijah Moore with Tyrell Shavers making it. But I think that they still believe, obviously, in Elijah Moore. And I think Curtis Samuel's contract is just so top heavy, essentially, for them that to move on from him, it would cost a lot of money. So do you think that there's any reason that it did take a couple hours after that? Like, I'm not trying to say that like in a funny way, but do you think that Brandon Beane was possibly trying to do a trade or make some type of move?
I mean, look, it could be like you could still make a move and because all teams had to be at 53. So you had to get to that 53. I really don't think it was. I don't know what the delay was. But the other thing I was thinking is, it's 6 wide receivers. And Dan, I was thinking, like, you start to think how many of them dress for the games. It usually would be 5. On occasion, it's 6. Now, I would say it was like Jalen Virgil when he got called up and dressed, because he was playing special teams. That'll be interesting to see. Plus, also, to your point, we still got a little bit of time before the season starts. Like, you look at what they have done and what's out there, and let's see what happens in the waiver process. Let's see what happens even in picking up other, unrestricted free agents. It's not set. And I'm saying is, at the moment, a 6th wide receiver, if you think of Tyrell Shavers as the 6th, you may think he doesn't have as much of a role, but he does, at least now, could play some special teams, and he may very well be active ahead of an Elijah Moore, maybe starting the season.
Well, I think that's exactly it. I still don't know where Curtis Samuel's health is. Yeah. So I think you're kind of double dipping with Samuel and Elijah Moore. I said that from the time he got there. I was like, you just have a lot of guys that kind of do the same thing. So if you think Curtis Samuel may need a little bit more time, maybe week 1, Samuel isn't ready and maybe he's inactive. And so you have Elijah Moore to do his role. And then when Curtis Samuel gets healthy again, maybe Curtis Samuel is the one that sits out, or you can kind of move those pieces around. So again, I've been on the anti-Elijah Moore train. I just never have bought into the hype since they signed him. I wasn't necessarily shocked that they kept him. I was, I thought that his contract and things like that, he would have to be really bad to not make it. I didn't know if they would keep 5 or 6. They kept 6. But again, that could be the insurance policy right now with the status of Curtis Samuel to kind of feel out where that is. And then, hey, my boy pours him out for Marquez Valdez-Scantling. He just got cut again by the Seahawks. So you never know. There are guys that are wide receivers that make the initial 53 and then aren't able or around long enough to lead the team in receiving yards. Like that does happen. Sometimes they get let go and they don't last that long. So again, Mike, I'm surprised we've made it, 8 minutes into this podcast and you haven't lectured us on the fluidity of the 53-man roster. Well, because Professor,
I did believe I said to you guys that things could change even now. And then there's the other step, which is still a ways away. But you have 2 players, certainly one of them that you believe is absolutely going to play and be ready to go in Hoyt and Ogunjobi. And at that point, they become roster players because they're not on the roster now. And they're on the reserve suspended list.
Yeah.
And then, they're going to have to make room for if it is both of them coming back. Now, a lot of things can change between now and then. But at the same time, the reason I say that is, they're looking and going, okay, where are we short? And where do we believe we needed to keep these players for different reasons? So I definitely think there could still be moves made between now and when we get to that Ravens game. I was interested to see, Jenna, that Shaq Thompson made the 53. And again, he could be a player that gets cut eventually and brought back on the practice squad. But I think if he's healthy, I think they want him to be the backup middle because they don't trust Joey Andreessen in that spot. So
I would agree.
It could be tentative. It could be a longer term picture of what they're looking for at that position.
Yeah. I mean, I could definitely see why they would. I think with Shaq Thompson, you see the cognition piece. Like you see, it's just he's obviously older on in his career. He's had multiple injuries. Like what is left in the tank in terms of him physically? But I think the Beane and McDermott have a lot of confidence, at least in him understanding the defense and everything that goes into that aspect. It's just like, what does he look like physically on the field? But I think you're right. Like, I think they have more confidence in that than at this point, if they were to have to go to Joe Andreessen, if Terrell Bernard were to go down, but that's obviously more of an insurance depth policy for them.
Yeah. I see Shaq Thompson as a newer AJ Klein. Like, I really think, and I'm not sure exactly which way I would look at it. Say something happens to, Terrell Bernard in a game. I can see them going to Shaq Thompson to finish that game and then maybe giving Joe Andreessen the week to prepare, or vice versa, whoever they think is ready. And that may depend on at what point in the season this happens, but you see that a lot where it's like a guy fills in for the second half of a game and then the other guy starts because they think with a week time to prepare, they can game plan for it. So whether that is one or the other, and maybe it's Andreessen fills in for the second half and then they get Shaq ready for the next week. But I think especially early on, especially if we're starting to look at Baltimore, we know what kind of offense they have. They're going to want to have as many healthy tackling linebackers as they can to go up against that ground attack against Baltimore.
Yeah.
Jenna, if I look at one position group and say they're looking for some help there, it would be edge rushers, especially coming off the bench. Look, you hope Bosa's healthy, right?
Mm-hmm.
And obviously you have Greg Rousseau. Behind him is AJ Epinesa, Javon Solomon, and Landon Jackson. And to this point, Jackson has not shown anything, really. Certainly not a lot. AJ has never been a big-time pass rusher. That has not been his strength. And Javon Solomon has skills that we've seen, but we're talking about behind the 2 starters. Like, I think they would absolutely be looking to pick off a player, a veteran who got cut loose, that they think could come and give them real pass rush. Because Dan, Bosa and Rousseau better be really good because I just don't see a lot coming off the bench.
That's your boy.
Yeah.
Wow, that's true.
Was that doubt in Mike Catalana's voice?
No, I'm saying is you need somebody that can come up, and listen, I think that's what Hoyt's going to be for them. They want him to be that guy.
I do think for Hoyt, I'm excited when he does get on the field.
Yeah.
Like, I think he has showed up in this preseason and made some plays where I'm like, okay, I see Michael Hoyt out there. I think he brings that level that the Bills have been lacking. But again, that suspension does hurt things because those first 6 games of the season, I mean, we've joked about how the Baltimore Bills game could be the 1 seed matchup, but it's true. You just don't know at this point.
I wonder I think we were all kind of a little curious. They re-sign Jordan Phillips. We all kind of were thinking, what does that mean for Dwayne Carter? I feel like they're pretty deep at defensive tackle with what we have seen from TJ Sanders and Deion Walker. So I wonder if I nailed it. Did you see my brain? Did you see the smoke coming out of my ears?
Yeah,
I was like,
I could see it in your eyes.
Yes.
I wonder if there's a move that a team has a surplus of defensive ends and they're a little short on defensive tackles. If there could be a move there to be made over these next 4 to 5 days before the start of the season for a team that looking for a 3rd round pick that has kind of been buried in the depth chart. Like he just seems to be falling. Carter does, with other guys being added and moving above him. And you have Ogunjobi coming back in week 7. And you have Jordan Phillips, who, again, I'm not sitting there like we posted a short and a TikTok about Jordan Phillips because he's awesome. Like as a character, like he's juice, like all that. I don't know what's left necessarily in the tank. He's the only guy that had a sack in the AFC Championship game last year.
And he did it late.
Yeah.
Right. So
it's a big play.
So to add that, when I look at it and I go, they're already pretty deep at defensive tackle. And then you go out and sign one that you haven't even had in your building this offseason. I don't know. I don't know what that means for Dwayne Carter. Were you guys surprised that Codrington made it?
Well, they obviously made that call, right? I mean, Chenault got released, and right. So at least initially, Codrington's the return guy.
Right. And you could always move on from him, and you can go with Ty Johnson, Ray Davis to return kickoffs. They've done that before. And you have Khalil Shakir as your safety punt catcher and, minor punt returner if you need to. So I've always liked Codrington. Jenna and I, we've always talked about, like, it's only a matter of time before I think Codrington breaks something for a touchdown. He has been so close last year in multiple games. I just didn't know he is not a cornerback. Like, I know they have to put him on the depth chart there. He is not a cornerback. I don't know how else I can say that nicer. Right. He is just going to be a return guy.
Yeah, and I don't think Chenault was going to be a receiver. He might play more teams. He can. Yeah. He probably could. He can run. He was the gunner and all. I'm going to go back to my D line, and I'm looking at the backups here and the lack of NFL snaps. Okay, because you've got AJ's got a lot.
Yeah,
Solomon, decent amount, but really nothing. And Landon Jackson's never played. And on the D tackle spot, it's Sanders, Walker, and Dwayne Carter. Like you are very inexperienced beyond the starters in those positions. So, and even in the secondary, when you start getting into, until even when Max comes back, he hasn't played. Dorian Strong hasn't played, right? You start looking. I mean, there's a lot of kids on this roster,
Are you worried about the defense?
Yeah.
I think that's fair.
Yeah. Let's go MVP. Hey, and I'm not saying these guys can't be good. I'm saying is like they're going to have to trust them if they go out there on the field. But I do like the idea of having a Shaq Thompson because he's been around.
Yeah.
I think you will have I have to say this, like a Dane Jackson. Like you have guys that have been around, but the kids may be starting or at least playing. So we'll see.
All right. We should wrap up because we got Hard Knocks soon.
Yeah.
We're going to go
Thirsty
live.
Turtle, Jenna. Thirsty Turtle.
Be sure to join us Thursday, September 4th at the Thirsty Turtle in Victor, 5 to 7 o'clock, a meet and greet. We're going to record the podcast afterwards, and then you're going to go home and watch the NFL opener. So you're going to have a night of all the football. What more could you want? It's going to be really fun.
Nailed it. Nailed it.
Thank you.
Hold on.
My back hurts.
Also,
we carrying this podcast.
I got to finish doing my hair.
This podcast should have been recorded like 4 hours ago.
Yeah. That's on the Bills.
We were all in the studio waiting to do it.
Waiting.
Yeah.
I had Elijah Moore
My
receipts.
hair looks so much better.
Oh, and by the way, if I can add one other thing for those that have hung with me. So we're out of the studio doing this here. You may see a few of these here or at practice, because coming soon, the new look podcast studio.
New studio.
Yeah. All right.
All right. Please be sure to join us at Thirsty Turtle Thursday, September 4th.
Wow, she's good.
We're going to keep hitting. Honestly, though, it is fun. Okay, I'm going to stop. But please be sure to like, comment, subscribe, and share as well. For Mike Catalana and Dan Fates, I am Jenna Cottrell. We will see you very shortly back on the Buffalo Plus YouTube channel.